Hello everybody, it's Emma here. Welcome to our short class today. We're going to be looking at Malasana, the Garland Pose, or a squat position if you like. It's a symmetrical standing pose which challenges our hips, our knees and our ankles. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a short sequence that opens and stabilizes the right parts of the body so that we're in a good place to give Malasana a try. So join me to start in Baddha Konasana, the bound angle pose, which is how I'm sitting at the moment. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees draw away from the center of the body. And it doesn't really matter how much space you have between your heels and your sitting bones. So just make some adjustments depending on how it feels for your body. We don't want to round too much into the lower back. We want to try and keep the chest lifted up. So if you need to take your feet further away, that's absolutely fine. You might also want to support under your knees if you have cushions or bricks. That would be good. And maybe even sit on a block as well. Okay, so when you've found your comfortable position, take your gaze down to your feet. And we'll stay here for 6 breaths. So remember, deep breaths in and out through your nose. Notice how the pose feels here, inside the legs, maybe inside the knees. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. And then lift your gaze. Use your hands to bring your knees together. And we're going to spin around and lie down on our backs. So come down, have the knees bent to begin. And let's bring the right knee in towards the body. Give it a squeeze in. Flex your right foot. And have a few rolls and rotations of the ankle. So go one way. And then go the other. And then see if you can straighten your left leg with your left foot flexed. If you don't like that sensation, feel free to stay with the sole of the foot on the mat. And keep the knee drawing in. Let's stay for 3 more breaths. Okay, now we're going to release the grip on the right knee and take the right knee outside the ribs. Bring the sole of the foot to face the ceiling and then either hold behind your thigh or reach up and grab the inside of your foot. And you might notice that that makes your left leg lift off the mat. That's fine. Just let that happen, or you can actively straighten it again. So this is half happy baby pose. It should feel quite intense on the hips, unless that's just me. So gently putting a little pressure onto the leg or the foot to encourage the knee to draw down. An extra challenge by working on straightening that left heel away from the crown of the head. Stick with it for a couple more breaths. And then let's bring both knees in towards the body or outside the ribs, whichever you prefer. And maybe have a little rock, maybe a little circle. And then let's do the other side. Drop your right foot to the mat and hug the left knee towards the body. Rotate your left ankle. Give it a little wriggle. And the other way. And then let's straighten the right leg. Push the heel away, flex the foot, and hug your left knee in. And then half happy baby on this side. We will either reach behind the thigh or reach up for the sole of the left foot, keeping a bend in the knee and optionally straightening the right leg as well, which may want to bend. Choose your own intensity here. We're getting the body ready. This is a very similar action that we've got in the left leg to how our legs will both be when we're in the Garland pose. A couple more breaths. Good. Let's bring both knees towards the body. Give yourself a gentle hug in. Maybe a little rock on the back of the hips. Okay, now we're going to do happy baby. So we will take the knees wide, soles of the feet towards the ceiling. You'll either hold behind your thighs or reach up and get the insides of the feet. And then maybe some gentle pressure to draw the knees down. Soften your shoulders. Engage pelvic floor, mula bandha. Lifting through the pelvic floor, and Uddiyana bandha as well, navel to spine. So very similar actions in the lower body, and to be honest, in the upper body too, of Malasana. This is a great alternative if you don't like the feet down on the mat position when we get there. And if you did come across it in class, you could always spin around and do this instead. Okay, stick with it for a few more breaths. Ooh, okay, let's bring the knees together and give them a little hug in. Okay, so we're going to come up from here. You can either roll along your spine or you can roll to your side, bringing yourself up. And we're going to come up to stand now, and we're going to do a no flow sequence of just a couple of poses to open the hips and get us ready. So let's take a step wide. You can step out or you can jump out. This is leading to warrior two. So a nice wide step. And then let's bring the arms up to shoulder height with the palms down. We'll turn the right foot to the short edge of the mat and the left toes in. Keep your shoulders over your hips. And as you breathe out, bend your front knee and straighten your back leg. So your back leg stays straight. Push down firmly through the back foot. And just take a quick look at your right knee and make sure it's traveling in the same direction as your second and third toes. And that also is going to be important when we come to Malasana. Soften the shoulders. And gaze towards the middle finger of the right hand. Lift through the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. Draw the belly in, Uddiyana bandha. Another 2 or 3 breaths. And then inhale, straighten your right leg, hands to hips and feet to parallel. Wide leg forward fold. Let's draw the shoulders back. Pull in at the belly, lift the chest, maybe gaze to the ceiling. And then tip your hips forward and come to halfway. Keep the shoulders drawing back, belly in. And then from halfway, you might want to go a bit further on an exhalation, and you might want to bring the hands to the mat. That's optional. Take an inhale, lift your chest. As you exhale, fold down. Soften the knees. Maybe walk your hands back to line up with the heels of your feet. Gaze back. Elbows in line with the wrists and the shoulders. Let's take 3 more breaths wherever we are. If your your wrists have walked back, bring them back under your shoulders. Inhale halfway, and then let's exhale, hands to hips. Carefully does it. Inhale, lift your chest, come all the way up, and let's do our warrior two on the other side. So, arms back out, shoulder height, right toes in, left foot to the other short edge, breathe in, and breathe out, just bend your front knee. Okay, take your gaze to the middle finger of your left hand, and maybe a quick sneaky peek down to make sure your toes Second and third toes are in line with your right knee, your left knee. Release the shoulders. Push down into your feet. Solid foundation there. Couple more breaths. And then breathe in. Straighten your left leg, feet to parallel. And then from here you can either jump or step your feet together into the middle of your mat. Good. Okay, so now we're going to do one balance before we practice Malasana. Not that Malasana is a balance, but we're going to lift our knee into one-legged mountain, but higher than we might normally do. Okay, so let's start with our feet hip width apart and bring the weight onto the right foot. And then lift your left knee up. So in one-legged mountain, we might normally stay around hip height with the knee. Today, I want you to see if you can use the strength at your hip flexors to lift your knee as high as you can. Keep this right leg really straight. And maybe reach up as well. Let's hold it for 5. Don't worry if you wobble. If you fall out, come back in, have another go. Keep lifting through that knee, intense in the hips. 3 breaths to go. 2. Last breath in. As you breathe out, release your foot, release your arms. Good, let's go on the other side. Weight to the left and lift up your right knee. Keep it going, lifting it as high as you can. Push down strongly into your left foot. Maybe add in some arms. 5 breaths. So, opposite movements. Up with the knee, down with the left foot. 3 more breaths. Come back in. If you fall out, don't give up. Keep going. 2. Final breath in. Good. Exhale, release. Fantastic. So we've warmed the body, we've got it ready, we're ready to give Malasana a try. Let's bring the feet just wider than the hips and then a slight turn out. We don't want to go full ballet dancer, completely turned out here. Maybe 3 minutes past 1. Does that make sense? Okay. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to send the hips back and down, bend the knees, knees travel in the same direction as the toes. We'll come into our squat position. Okay, so when you get down here, you might notice, first of all, that your heels don't touch the mat. And if they don't, that's absolutely fine. You can stay up on your toes. And in some ways, you could think of this like downward facing dog, where not always do the heels come down to the mat. And that's fine. We wouldn't be racing to pad under the heels in down dog. So if your heels are lifted, I would say if you can, stick with it, even if you're quite high up, and even if you're on your fingers, or even on blocks, grabbing a block to put under your hands. If you're feeling it in your hips, another thing you could do is grab a block or a cushion and sit down onto it. Yeah, so that would be another option. If you're feeling it in the front of your shins, it's because they're working hard to stop the body from landing on your bottom. Okay, so bring your elbows inside your knees if that's available. Maybe bring the hands to prayer. So we want to have the knees gently drawing away. We don't want to have the knees caving in. And the knees and the feet traveling in the same direction. So it's an intense pose, a very intense pose. It's intense at the ankles. That's a big flexion, dorsiflexion at the ankles. Complete closure at the knee, complete flexion here at the knee joint. And also at the hips. So there's an awful lot going on. In the spine, we're looking for extension, so lengthening through the spine. Lots happening. Just tune into where you're feeling this in the body and see if we can hold it for another 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Okay, we're going to reverse out of this into Baddha Konasana, so where we started. So allow your knees to release. hold on to your feet. And if you want to this time, you could take a different version where you bring your thumbs inside and open your feet like a book, with the little toes touching and the outside edges of your feet touching as well. Good work, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that short little class building up to practicing Malasana. You can stay in Baddha Konasana for a little while if you like, or you could come down and take some time in constructive rest or Shavasana. I'll just say thank you for practicing with me today. I'll see you soon on the next video. Om Shanti.